Well, good morning, everyone. How are you? Is it Am I on? Good? Everyone hear me? Well, let me, if we haven't welcomed you already, if you weren't at the event last evening, let me welcome you to beautiful Raleigh, North Carolina. We had a lot of discussions about where to hold our first conference. I mean, candidly, it was hours of discussions of where to do it. And when we finally decided here, really excited that we still ended up with a great audience. And whether you're into beer or children, we seem to have you covered. If you're not into either of those, then maybe tech is another thing that's a hot spot. But hope you get an opportunity to walk around the area, if not today or in the evenings. If you don't live here after the show, I think a lot of you have late afternoon flights tomorrow, so you have the afternoon to kind of experience the area and experience the city. And we hope certainly it's not the first time you come here. I wanted to start off and also just thank you. This is, Pendo's been around for a little over 3 years now, 3.5 years. And, I continue to be humbled by all of the use cases and the experiences and the stories that I get to hear on a daily basis engaging with customers. And, we do some exciting things. At Pendo, we work hard to work with the customers and give you guys the best experience possible. But what you guys do day in, day out in your products and making them better is really what's truly inspiring. And part of what's exciting for me this week is hearing more and more of those stories and kind of adding them to my bank of use cases that we're doing. I mean, yesterday alone, I learned 4 or 5 things I didn't know happened with our product, and I'm excited to learn more today. A big part of any event like this is our sponsors, especially with our inaugural event. We have 5 great sponsors. We've actually done webinars with all these folks. So I'd encourage you to go to our website, look for webinars, and you'll see a lot of the content already there. But Gainsight, we have Omer from Gainsight. Is he in the room? Omer's in the back. Thank you. Pragmatic Marketing. Mark, I don't know if he's here yet, but he will be here today. User Voice, Richard from User Voice is here. Richard's in the back. Serious Decisions, we have Jeff, and he'll be speaking a little bit later. And then Chris from Igloo. Chris, he'll be here as well. Great. So let's give a round of applause to our sponsors. It's interesting. When we think about Pendo and the vision, the whole vision came from my experience prior to this. So I was a product manager like many of you. I had UX teams, worked a lot with customer success, and a lot of pain around getting people to actually use the software we're building. We would ship a feature, we'd do a big launch, then I'd find out 3 months later that people weren't using it. They weren't getting engaged. Then, unfortunately, maybe someone would churn, and we'd say, well, geez, that's unfortunate. Why did they leave us, right? And what I realized is the more data I had, the better decisions I made as a product person. And those decisions led to better prioritization and better features and more engagement. And what we also saw is that in educating people and getting people to even be aware of what was in the software was a critical part of keeping people engaged. We're constantly shipping new features. I get calls from customers, and we didn't even know you had that thing. So when we created the company, we had this vision of putting together really deep analytics with the ability to engage customers. And at first, you get a variety of feedback from folks. I think one person called it ungainly early on, the fact that we put these 2 capabilities together. But it's exciting to see how people have adopted it and how it's really expanded from there. And if I think today about the vision and what it means and what really unifies us, it's really the digital disruption. What's core to all of us do in the room is software. And what's exciting is software is really changing all of our lives. I think I blogged about, I just had a baby recently. This is, after a couple years, so, my kids are a little bit older, but I have a new baby. And now if you look at the The baby monitor I have, it's on my phone. It's constantly notifying me. It's giving me analytics on whether the baby had a good night or a bad night. Let me just warn you guys, if you wake up in the morning and you tell your wife, oh, the baby had a bad night last night, maybe not the best analytics to be sharing at that point, especially when I slept the whole night. But yeah, the fact is, software, and maybe that's a version 1 product, so it still has a lot of work to do. But the fact is, software is really infecting every aspect of what we do. And I think you'll find when you engage with folks is there's some companies in here that you may not think of as traditional software companies that are doing some really, really exciting things with software. And what's interesting is that as a person who's built software for many, many years, and I am old enough that I did work on green screen applications early in my career. You've seen a ton of change. Early days, we were just super thankful to replace paper. It was like, wow, we now have it on a green screen. And then, of course, through client server, it was about making the software a little bit better, a little bit easier to use. The mouse became more popular in that generation. And then, of course, with cloud technologies, it's really been about getting it in more people's hands, more accessibility. I think, if anything that the cloud did is that it is now much easier to interact with and find and engage with software than it ever has before. I go to my web browser and I can basically use any piece of software application that I desire. But now I think through a fast forward to today, what's really, really different is as hardware has become cheaper and cheaper, people have tried to put more and more power and capabilities into software, which of course has created more complex software because now everything is done in software. And what means that is that the experience, the way we engage with this software is so critically important and more critically important than ever was before. So, a couple of years ago, we were just thankful to ship anything on time and reliably that actually worked. Now, how it works, how it engages, how users use it is so more important because that's actually what translates into value for the end users. And if I think about how end users, and myself as an end user, engages with software, we have a very different model. We start with evaluations and trials. And honestly, if we don't like the evaluation and trial, we typically don't have to buy. That's actually nice, but that is different. Early, years ago, we used to just buy things without having to be able to try it, and then you're kind of stuck with it. And that's when shelfware was really, really popular, and I remember those days. But then through evaluation and trial, then we go through this adoption phase where we really try to get engaged and try to get to those sticky value moments. And then it's about delight and advocacy, and then lastly about this renewal and expansion and how we take this and use more of it. And so this is a new cycle that has just emerged in the last few years. And what's really interesting is we as consumers now are demanding that our software works more like our software at home. Many of us have been using Gmail and Facebook, and I guess Snapchat's really, really exciting right now. That's the hot app. So we're using these in our home life, and frankly, they're really, really nice experiences. They know what our preferences are. They know what we've done and haven't done. They educate us in product. They don't have help screens or giant knowledge bases we have to go to read how to use Snapchat. You just press on something and it works, and it does instinctively what you expect it to do. So our software at home is great, and now we need to bring those same experiences to work. I had a great conversation yesterday with Brian from Domo, and he's in the room, so I don't mean to call him out, but he's coming into the business software industry from games, from consumer, right? And talking how we can bring consumer-like experiences to our business software. And that's something that's extremely exciting to me and a huge part of what we're trying to do and trying to enable here in the room. And really, to enable that, we've seen a transition in how we think about experience. And we're introducing this product experience cycle this week. And where it all does begin with onboarding. And today in some of the sessions, you're going to hear about this early part of the cycle. I mean, it is the first touch. It is the first time, and we all know first impressions are the most important impressions in many, many cases. So how you touch a user when they first come into your app, when they first trial, they first experience, So important. We're going to talk a lot about that. And then, product intelligence, deeply learning about what's going on. Personalizing the interface. When I've been shopping for things and I go to Nordstrom's, they are really good at giving me exactly what I want. That makes me more likely to buy. But yet when I go into our business software, we don't often put up, I know you're really interested in this. Why don't we just go have you do that? Right? So personalizing the interface is a really powerful way to make your products stickier. And then lastly, continuous in education. They say you have to teach someone or say something 7 times for people to realize it, but yet we educate our users about features once and never tell them again how to use it. It's okay to remind people in a subtle way, hey, you haven't tried this, right? It takes a while to change behaviors. If you think about your behaviors when you use something, think about how many times it takes you to change the way you interact with something. It's a lot. So continuous education is really, really important. Here at Pendo, we've built what we think is an interesting platform for product experience, and it really does all start with data. Good access to data, and I was talking yesterday with a few folks, but my prior role, there was one guy at the company that controlled all the data, you had to go to him and you had to ask him, and then he's very grizzly and said no a lot, and then he would tell you it took like 2 months to get the data. Frankly, honestly, he's still there at the company and he's still the same person. I just verified it last week. So he is the same exact person. And he still guards all the data, right? And this is the problem. I think what we've tried to do is make it really, really easy to capture it with no developer interventions, and then disseminate it to everyone who really wants it. So I do think data is critically important, and making sure it's in everyone's hands, democratizing it, so to speak. And then we put a variety of apps on top of it, everything from NPS, polls, guided tours, new feature announcements, and then more. And there's a lot more to come. We're really excited about the platform. I think we're going to have some announcements today that we're excited to share with everyone. And then, of course, there'll be more in upcoming months as we continue to evolve this platform. Now, when I think about and shift to the conference, when we're thinking about what type of conference we wanted to have, a lot of discussion around this. And this is the roles that all of you have or kind of identify as. And you can see it's a nice, healthy blend. Right? And we talked about, do we want to just have a product management conference or a success conference or an experience or user experience conference? And we realized that there wasn't any one title that was the right title to pick. What's interesting is I think it's 13% of you, so I don't know the exact number of that, have the title of product experience. And that's a new thing. That's a new title that's just started to emerge in the last few years. So that's kind of exciting. So the conference, I think what you'll find is a strong blend of people. You'll probably find people like you, but you'll also see folks adjacent to you in the business that care about the same problem. And then, of course, from an industry perspective, it varies a lot. We have everything from education software, real estate software, we have dental software. I know it wasn't an option to pick. We have folks servicing marketing personas, HR personas, a lot of HR tech here, sales, engineering. So all of the industry you serves are very, very different. They're heterogeneous. I think there's a really good opportunity to learn across different industries. And of course, lots of geographical diversity. We have, hometown is represented well, but a lot of folks from the Bay Area here, from California, New York, Utah. So there's some really, really strong centers of technology that we've managed to bring here. So again, thank you for making the trip. It's wonderful to have you here. This week is really all about you. So it's about engaging with the fellow participants. Most of the speakers are from non-Pendo places. They're from customers that are doing really amazing things. So we have 34 sessions, 50 speakers. I think you'll find a lot. If you brought more than one person from your company, I would encourage you to split across multiple sessions. There are some really great sessions running in parallel. we had a big discussion last week. Well, there's too good content. What should we do about this? We think it's a problem. And I said, look, if our biggest problem is that we have too much content, that's a good problem to have. So I like good problems. We are recording everything. You will have access to everything post-show as well. We have Pendo office hours. We have our data scientist will be in there, Suja, she's wonderful. We have other folks from Pendo. If you have any questions about the product or the company, someone from the company will be in it all day long, so feel free to ask any questions you desire. Tonight, we're going to have a gala just down the street, so really excited about that. We are going to have our first annual customer awards, so that'll be really, really exciting. So looking forward to dining with everyone this evening. Is everyone on Slack? Great. So we're trying to use Slack to run our conference communications. And so we're highly encouraging you to do it. So there's a bunch of Slack channels. If you have suggestions on other ones to add or private channels, feel free to ask. Feel free to direct message people or myself, anyone. I'm checking it all day long throughout the conference. To join, you simply need to go to this URL. If you have any questions, see someone in pink. We can help you get online. We're really excited about this community, and I think we like to continue this community going post-conference. We'll talk more about that tomorrow, but please engage. I think this is a great opportunity to get to know folks. We're also, of course, on social media. Please follow us on Twitter. Please tweet things in the sessions. Feel free to share. We want folks to share kind of what's going on here, and for folks that aren't here. So I'm going to challenge you. I've been to a lot of tech conferences, and I'm sure a lot of you have as well. But set practical goals for yourself. Pick 2 to 3 things that you want to tangibly try when you leave here. You're going to fly home on Wednesday, presumably, or drive home. Try 2 to 3 new things. I talked to a lot of customers yesterday, and a lot of you in various states of maturity or evolution. There's a lot more maybe advanced, but not too advanced things that you could start trying next week, next month. Try to pick apart 2 to 3 new things. You're going to hear a lot of content, people doing a lot of different things. I'd really encourage you to just pick a handful. And then try to meet 2 to 3 new people. I said lifelong friends. That's a high goal. I realize it. But you never know, right? Try to find some people that you haven't met before. So don't try to sit by all your friends or colleagues at lunch or at dinner. Try to spread around, meet some new people. I have the opportunity to meet a lot of you, and there's just great people. So I really encourage you to meet some of these great people and build some real relationships. And then give back. A big part of this, when you have 50 speakers, 50 folks are already giving back. So thank you for doing that. I know the time it took, but for those who didn't, you still have tons of knowledge you can share at lunch and at dinner or about things that you've tried. Frankly, sharing the things that don't work is just as valuable as sharing the things that did work. So don't hesitate to share failures. This is a safe crowd. No one's going to get in trouble if you said we tried these things and a bunch of customers hated it. That's all good. That's a learning. So please, I encourage you to share things that both work and didn't work for you. One of the interesting things is the reach just inside this room is pretty large. So this is just Pendo data across all your subscriptions across the last year. We captured 63 billion events. That's 63 billion things people did in your products. That's checking out, that's creating something, 63 billion times. 152 million users were touched last year. That's people that either saw a guide or collected something from them. And 55 million guides were seen just last year alone, and that number grows pretty steadily each week, actually. And there's some really interesting values people are doing. So these are numbers pulled right from presentations, but people in the room have seen a 140% growth in user engagement, 43-point improvement in NPS, 97% customer retention, and a 30% increase in trial conversions. Just think about it. So some of you have this. Just think if you brought those back to your organization and say, wow, I learned these 2 to 3 things this week that can increase our trial conversions 30%. Or increase our NPS 43 points. These are really, really powerful results for your business. So I'd encourage you to go seek out those sessions and try a few new things. You will see these results too, so I'm confident in it. But thank you. That's all I have.